Welcome to this explainer. The countdown is officially on, and the final four teams of this tournament are just waiting to do battle. But there's one specific semifinal clash down in Dallas, Texas, that basically has the entire footballing world holding its breath. We're talking about heavy favorites France going toe-to-toe with the absolute powerhouse that is Spain. This isn't just a game. It's a massive, high-stakes chess match of contrasting styles, undeniable talent, and just immense psychological pressure. Today, we're going to break down exactly how this match will be won or lost. We're putting a major spotlight on how two generational talents completely dictate their team's tactical blueprints, and we'll dig into the specific, glaring weaknesses each side is desperately trying to expose.
Okay, here is our game plan for today. First, the ultimate tactical clash. Second, Yamal, Spain's fearless catalyst. Third, Mbappé, France's lethal weapon. Fourth, exposing tactical weaknesses. And finally, who will break first? Let's dive in. All right, starting right off with the ultimate tactical clash, two unbeaten giants. To really grasp the stakes of this battle, you have to remember one crucial thing. Neither of these heavyweight sides has trailed in a match yet. Literally not once. They are incredibly difficult to break down. I mean, Spain has conceded only one single goal all tournament. And France, they've only let in two. So finding the back of the net against these absolute brick walls is going to require nothing short of a tactical masterclass. Both teams are defensively resolute, but it's fascinating because they achieve this in completely different ways. Spain defends with the ball. They use what we call rest defense, basically keeping such overwhelming possession that the opponent just never gets a chance to mount a sustained attack. France, on the flip side, relies on sheer athletic dominance and total structural discipline in their backline. They just absorb the pressure, wait, and then strike. Because these defenses are so airtight, the magic has to come from their attacking catalysts to pry those structures open. Which brings us to Section 2, Yamal, Spain's fearless catalyst, focusing on youth versus expectation. So Lamine Yamal is actually celebrating his 19th birthday today. Wild, right? And he steps onto the pitch carrying the immense, honestly suffocating expectations of an entire nation on his young shoulders. That pressure is a massive tactical factor. He actually came into this tournament carrying an injury, so he's been visibly chasing his absolute best form. Because of this, the Spanish manager Luis de la Fuente recently went on Spanish radio and delivered this crucial piece of advice to his young star. He said, "You do you. Doing you is going to be good enough to beat whoever is in front of you." The tactical instruction there is crystal clear. Yamal simply cannot let the occasion overwhelm him or try to force the play. But what does Yamal's natural game actually look like tactically? Well, it's all about extreme width and offensive gravity. Yamal loves to just hug the absolute edge of the touchline. By staying so incredibly wide, he physically stretches the opposing defense, dragging their left back way out of a compact shape. That single, deliberate movement widens the half spaces on the pitch, creating the exact passing lane Spain's central midfielders need to orchestrate the attack. If he gets anxious, abandons that discipline, and tries to do too much in the center, he plays right into France's congested midfield, and Spain definitely does not want that. But despite all that mounting pressure, Yamal's mindset is exactly what Spain needs to execute this wide game. When he was asked about facing the scary French side, he just calmly stated, "We're not afraid of France." Now, sure, you'd expect any player to say something like that, but with Yamal, it really isn't just PR talk. His fearlessness translates directly to his on-pitch positioning and decision-making. He doesn't shy away from one-on-one isolations. In fact, he demands the ball in those moments. He takes these high-risk, high-reward take-ons that literally serve as the linchpin for Spain's final third entries. By constantly trying to beat his man, he essentially forces the opponent to double-team him. And the very second a second French defender slides over to help cover Yamal, boom, the defensive structure is fractured, leaving a Spanish player completely unmarked centrally or at the top of the box. His mentality is the engine that allows Spain's entire offensive blueprint to function.
Moving right along to Section 3, Mbappé, France's lethal weapon, and his quest of chasing history. Now, if Yamal is the fearless youth, Kylian Mbappé is the proven, terrifying force of nature. And he isn't just looking for a ticket to the finals, he is actively chasing World Cup history. The crucial number to remember here is 1. Mbappé is just one single goal away from tying Lionel Messi as the joint leading goal scorer in all of World Cup history. Doing that before Messi even gets a chance to respond in his own semifinal, that is a massive motivator. Tactically, this historic chase makes his presence on the pitch even more lethal. His physical output is absolutely peaking right now. Because he's so incredibly hungry for that goal, he lingers dangerously high up the pitch during defensive phases. Literally just his mere presence forces the opposing right back to stay pinned deep in their own half, out of pure terror of his pace on the counterattack. Mbappé exerts this massive tactical gravity without even touching the ball. To really understand Mbappe's tactical influence, you also have to understand the intense, contrasting pressures he operates under. Off the pitch for his national team, he is just beloved. Backroom staff praise him endlessly for his kindness, his respect, and just how he carries himself. But at the club level, it's a completely different story. He faced severe criticism from Real Madrid fans toward the end of the season when things were kind of falling apart for the club, specifically for hanging out in Ajax instead of traveling with the squad. These conflicting narratives mean he steps onto the pitch with an intense, burning need to deliver on the international stage, which is clearly where he feels most at home. And this psychological comfort translates directly into a completely fluid, free role on the pitch for France. Under his national manager, he isn't chained to the left wing like a traditional forward. He has total freedom to drift centrally, drop between the lines to collect the ball, or just suddenly overload the right side. That unpredictability makes him an absolute nightmare for Spain to try and man mark.
But here's the thing. Mbappé doesn't operate alone. France has this terrifyingly deep attacking lineup. First, you have Mbappé, who can obviously beat you completely individually. Then you have Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembélé, who is really finding his ruthless form and stretching the pitch on the opposite flank. You have Bradley Barcola as a ridiculously lethal option coming off the bench, but the standout tactically might actually be Michael Olise. Olise is playing with a free role, feeling the game brilliantly, and operating at what honestly looks like a top 3 level in the world right now, and he's doing it without even scoring. He dictates the flow of the attack from the midfield, cleverly drawing opposing defensive midfielders completely out of position. As Olise pulls players centrally and Dembélé stretches him to the right, they are actively orchestrating isolated, massive pockets of space specifically from Mbappé to exploit on the left. France's ceiling is just so much higher than everyone else's because their attackers move so synergistically to feed their superstar.
Which leads us directly to the absolute most important question of this explainer. So, how exactly does Spain beat this lethal French attack? Because let's be real, if France plays to their full potential, nobody is beating them. Spain essentially has to drag France down to an entirely different level. And that brings us to Section 4, Exposing Tactical Weaknesses, the Blueprint for Victory. This is where we really get into the specific X's and O's of how each team plans to systematically dismantle the other's strategy. This is the core tactical chess match right here. We're looking at two fundamentally opposed game plans. Spain's absolute strength is in their midfield and their ability to possess the ball. Their strategy relies on long, slow spells of possession to firmly dictate the pace of the game. They utilize a wide 4-3-3 shape to expand the pitch as much as humanly possible while in possession. France, on the other hand, they want to play at a super high tempo. They want to press hard, force mistakes, and attack with just ruthless speed. France will likely set up in a very compact mid-block, staying narrow and tight, basically just coiled and waiting for the perfect moment to spring into a vertical sprint the very second they win the ball back. Let's look a bit closer at why France is so incredibly difficult to play against. It really isn't just their speed, it's their high-pressure system. They press the ball relentlessly high up the pitch to force you into making critical mistakes. They rely on this ingrained club-level chemistry, leaning heavily on combinations you'd see at PSG, which allows them to press as a cohesive unit rather than just individuals running around. They have incredibly disciplined triggers for this press, too. They'll wait for a slightly misplaced pass or even just a slow turn from a Spanish midfielder, and then, bam, they swarm. And what's truly scary about this specific version of the French squad is that they are even getting a massive defensive pressing shift out of Kylian Mbappé. He's working just as hard off the ball to disrupt the opponent, aggressively cutting off passing lanes to the Spanish center backs to trap them. So, to survive that relentless high press, Spain has a very specific step-by-step blueprint. Step 1, dictate long possession in the midfield. Step 2, by keeping the ball, they slow the whole game down and severely frustrate the high-tempo French side. Step 3, this systematically starves Mbappé, Olise, and Dembélé of touches. Obviously, if they don't have the ball, they can't counterattack. And finally, step 4, this is the most crucial tactical move. Holding the ball in a deep U-shape geometrically forces that frustrated French midfield to step up and pinch centrally to try and win it back. The pitch drastically shrinks in the middle for France, and suddenly, as soon as France commits bodies to the center, Spain strikes by pinging a long, pinpoint diagonal ball to completely isolate Lamine Yamal and wide on the wing.
And why is isolating Yamal out wide so absolutely vital? Because it targets France's single Achilles heel. While the rest of the French squad is frankly terrifying, their specific vulnerable point is left back Lucas Digne. Spain's entire tactical game plan revolves around manipulating possession to get Lamine Yamal onto an absolute island in a one-on-one situation against Lucas Digne.
Digne can sometimes be caught out of position, and he definitely struggles against explosive, multi-directional wingers. If Yamal gets the ball in space, he can drop his shoulder to hit the byline for a cutback, or he can cut inside onto his lethal left foot. This creates an absolute nightmare for France's left-sided center back. Do they step out of the middle to help Digne, thereby leaving the center of the box completely exposed to Spanish runners? Or do they just stay home in the center and pray that Digne can survive Yamal one-on-one? This impossible dilemma is exactly what Spain wants to exploit over and over again.
All right, finally, Section 5. Who will break first? The final stand. Now, tactical plans on a chalkboard mean absolutely nothing if you can't actually execute them in the heat of the moment. So let's look at the psychological and environmental factors tipping the scales here. First off, the environment in Dallas. Yes, it is incredibly hot and humid outside, but the players won't have to worry about that at all because the roof is closed and the AC is absolutely pumping in the stadium. What they will have to worry about is the noise. Surprisingly, the French fans are making all the noise. They are significantly outnumbering and outsinging the Spanish fans right now. In fact, for the first time this entire tournament, the normally highly confident Spanish public is feeling some genuine nerves. They are deeply worried about the sheer athletic threat this French team poses.
And you know what? That nervousness is completely justified when you realize this crazy stat. Neither side has trailed in a match this entire tournament. They both have had fairly straightforward paths so far. Because neither team is used to playing from behind or chasing a game, the first goal is literally everything. The tactical implications of a goal here are massive. Think about it. If Spain goes a goal down early, they will be forced to abandon their slow, methodical possession game. They'll have to push their defensive lines significantly higher up the pitch to chase an equalizer. And that creates 40 yards of open, empty grass behind their defense, which is the absolute perfect dream scenario for a blistering Kylian Mbappé counterattack. The first team to score here completely rewrites the opponent's tactical playbook.
Which leaves us with this final thought to take away. We've got the ultimate clash of tactical styles on our hands. Will Lamine Yamal's fearless youth, extreme width, and incredible one-on-one ability successfully expose Lucas Digne and fracture France's defense? Or will Kylian Mbappe's lethal experience, relentless high press, and pursuit of historical glory allow France to spring the perfect counterattack and completely crush Spain's dream of controlling the game? The tactics are drawn, the weaknesses are exposed, and honestly, we cannot wait to see who executes their blueprint flawlessly on the pitch. Thank you so much for joining this explainer and enjoy the match.